Stop what you're doing and pay close attention, because what I'm about to share with you will fundamentally transform the way you understand female attraction forever. Right now, there's a woman in your life. Maybe someone you work with, maybe someone you just met, maybe someone you've been talking to for weeks, and she's testing you. Not obviously, not directly, but constantly. She's running psychological experiments on you, observing your responses, measuring your emotional strength, and deciding whether you're the kind of man she can respect, desire, and ultimately surrender to. And here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to tell you. Most men fail these tests spectacularly. Not because they're weak, not because they're unattractive, but because they simply don't know the game is being played. They think attraction is about looks, money, or saying the right things. But real attraction? It operates on a completely different level. It's psychological. It's instinctive. And it's happening right under your nose. Let me be crystal clear about something. When a woman is genuinely sexually attracted to you, she will almost never come out and say it directly. That's not how female psychology works. Instead, she communicates through a language most men don't speak. The language of subtle tests, emotional contrasts, and psychological patterns designed to separate high-value men from everyone else. Think about it this way. Evolution didn't design women to broadcast their attraction openly. Why? Because choosing the wrong mate had massive consequences. So over thousands of years, women developed sophisticated filtering mechanisms, unconscious tests that reveal a man's true character when he's not performing, when he's under pressure, when his guard is down. These aren't malicious games. They're not designed to hurt you or confuse you. They're instinctive behavior patterns rooted in deep evolutionary psychology. She's asking fundamental questions. Can this man stay calm under pressure? Does he need constant validation? Will he remain grounded when emotions run high? Can he lead without dominating? Can he be strong without being rigid? And here's what makes this so powerful. Once you understand these tests, once you can recognize them in real time, you gain an almost unfair advantage. You'll see what's really happening beneath surface-level behavior. You'll stop being confused by mixed signals. You'll understand why she acts one way one day and completely differently the next. More importantly, you'll know exactly how to respond in a way that dramatically amplifies attraction instead of killing it. So in this video, we're breaking down 7 specific mind games that women play when they're sexually attracted to you. Not theory, not guesswork. Real psychological patterns backed by evolutionary biology, behavioral science, and decades of research into human mating dynamics. And I'm not just going to explain what these games are. I'm giving you the precise playbook for how to win every single one. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete understanding of female attraction psychology that most men will never possess. Are you ready? Let's dive in. All right, let's start with the most common and most confusing mind game in the attraction playbook, the push-pull dynamic. Here's how it typically plays out. You meet a woman and the chemistry is undeniable. She's engaged, laughing at your jokes, maintaining strong eye contact, finding excuses to touch your arm during conversation. The energy between you feels electric. You exchange numbers, and the texting starts off strong. Quick replies, playful banter, genuine interest. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, everything shifts. Her texts become shorter. She takes hours or even days to respond. The warmth you felt before? Gone. Replaced by distance, coolness, almost indifference. Your mind immediately goes into panic mode. What did I do wrong? Did I come on too strong? Is she losing interest? Did she meet someone else? So you do what most men do. You try to fix it. You send more texts. You try to recreate that initial spark. You become more available, more attentive, more invested. You're chasing the feeling you had before. And that's exactly where you lose. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. She's not pulling away because she's lost interest. She's pulling away to test your emotional stability. This is one of the most fundamental tests in female psychology, and it reveals everything she needs to know about your confidence. See, attraction isn't built on constant comfort and predictability. That's what friendships are built on. Attraction requires tension, uncertainty, emotional contrast. And the push-pull dynamic creates exactly that. When she pulls back after being warm, she's watching one specific thing. How do you respond when the emotional climate changes? Do you stay grounded in yourself, or does your entire emotional state depend on her attention? Most men fail this test immediately, and there are 3 common ways they fail. First, they chase harder. They double down on effort, trying to win back the warmth through increased investment. More texts, more compliments, more attempts to make plans. This communicates desperation and destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. Second, they withdraw completely. They get hurt or offended by the distance and pull back defensively, sometimes disappearing entirely or becoming cold themselves. This comes across as emotionally fragile, unable to handle normal fluctuations in connection. Third, they seek explanation. They ask what's wrong, if they did something to upset her, if she's still interested. This demand for reassurance signals insecurity and puts her in a position where she has to manage your emotions, which is deeply unattractive. So what's the winning response? It's simple, but requires real emotional discipline. You stay exactly where you are. You don't chase, you don't withdraw, you don't interrogate. When she pulls back, you give her space without making it a statement. You continue living your life with the same energy, purpose, and momentum you had before she came into it. You don't check your phone every 5 minutes waiting for her reply. You don't craft the perfect message to re-engage her, you simply continue. Here's why this works so powerfully. When you remain calm and centered while she creates distance, you're communicating something rare and deeply attractive. Your emotional state doesn't depend on her behavior. Your confidence is internal, not external. You're not looking for her to validate your worth. This is what separates high-value men from everyone else. High-value men have emotional independence. They enjoy connection but don't need it to feel whole. And when she sees that, when she realizes that her pulling back didn't destabilize you, didn't make you needy, didn't trigger anxiety, something shifts in her psychology. The test is passed. Attraction deepens. She'll lean back in. Trust me on this. But when she does, she'll lean in harder because you've just demonstrated something incredibly rare. Unshakable groundedness. Now let me give you a practical example of how this plays out in real conversation. She texts you after 3 days of silence. "Hey, sorry I've been so busy." Weak response. "No worries, I totally understand. I've been thinking about you. Want to grab dinner this week?" Why is this weak? Because it's too eager, too available, too forgiving without her having to earn forgiveness. It communicates that you were waiting for her to return. Strong response. "All good. Life gets crazy." Then continue the conversation naturally without addressing the gap. Or even better, don't immediately respond. Wait a few hours, then reply casually. This shows that you weren't sitting around waiting. See the difference? The strong response maintains frame. It doesn't punish her for the distance, but it also doesn't reward it with over-enthusiasm. It's calibrated, calm, and centered. This is the essence of winning the push-pull game. Emotional non-reactivity paired with warm presence. You're not cold or withholding. You're simply grounded. Let me also address something important here. Some of you might be thinking, but isn't this playing games? Isn't this manipulative? No. Here's the distinction. Manipulation is when you artificially create push-pull to control someone's emotions. That's toxic. What we're talking about is responding intelligently to push-pull that she's creating. You're not manufacturing anything. You're simply not allowing her tests to knock you off balance. There's a massive difference between strategic response and emotional manipulation. One is self-mastery. The other is control. Remember this. The push-pull dynamic is about her observing whether you can handle emotional fluctuation without falling apart. When you can, you pass one of the most critical tests in attraction. When you can't, the opportunity quietly disappears, and you'll never quite understand why. All right, before we continue, let me ask you something. Are you starting to see patterns from your own life? Are these concepts clicking into place? If you're getting real value from this breakdown, I need you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button. Seriously, this channel exists to give you the psychological edge that most men never get. We're not doing surface-level advice here. We're going deep into real behavioral psychology. Subscribing takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube's algorithm to show this content to more men who desperately need it. Plus, you'll never miss an upload when we drop new insights. All right, let's keep going. We've got 6 more games to decode. The jealousy trigger. And this one is sneaky because it often doesn't feel intentional when it's happening. Picture this scenario. You're having a great conversation with her. Everything's flowing smoothly. And then she casually drops another guy's name into the mix. Oh, my friend Jake said something hilarious the other day. I was at the gym, and this trainer, he's actually really good looking, showed me this new exercise. My coworker invited me to this event this weekend. He's really thoughtful like that. Your chest immediately tightens. Your attention sharpens. Your mind starts racing with questions. Who's Jake? Why is she talking about the trainer's looks? Is this coworker interested in her? That feeling, that spike of jealousy or territorial awareness, that's exactly what she's testing for. Now, before you think she's being manipulative, understand the psychology here. This isn't about making you suffer. It's about gauging your emotional control and self-worth. Here's what's really happening. When a woman is attracted to you, she instinctively wants to know several things. First, does this man value me enough to care if other men are interested? Second, is he so insecure that even the mention of another man destabilizes him? Third, can he handle competition without becoming possessive or controlling? These are critical questions because they reveal relationship potential. A man who doesn't care at all about other men shows lack of investment. But a man who becomes visibly jealous or insecure shows emotional fragility. She's looking for something very specific: confident awareness. She wants to know you value her, but you're not threatened by the existence of other men in her world. This is where most guys completely blow it. And they blow it in one of two directions. Direction 1, overreaction. They get defensive, ask probing questions, make jealous comments disguised as jokes, or worse, they try to compete by mentioning other women. Oh yeah? Well, this girl at my office has been pretty flirty with me lately too. That response screams insecurity. You just showed that her mentioning another man got under your skin so much that you felt the need to level the playing field. That's a failed test. Direction 2, forced indifference. They overcorrect by acting like they don't care at all, almost dismissively. Cool, whatever. This can come across as either disinterested or emotionally unavailable. She mentions something, and you can't even engage with it naturally? That doesn't communicate confidence. It communicates avoidance. So what's the winning response? It's what I call calibrated confidence. You acknowledge the moment without being consumed by it. You show that you're paying attention, but you're not threatened. Let me give you specific examples. She says, "This guy at work keeps asking me to grab coffee." Weak response. What? Who is this guy? Are you going to go? Strong response. Sounds like he has good taste. Then smile and change the subject or add playfully. Just make sure he knows you've got standards. See what happened there? You acknowledged it with humor and subtle confidence. You didn't interrogate her. You didn't get defensive. You basically said, "Yeah, of course other guys notice you. You're attractive, but I'm not worried about it." That response is magnetic because it demonstrates abundance mentality. You're not operating from scarcity or fear of loss. You're operating from a position of self-assurance. Here's another example. She says, "I was watching this movie, and the lead actor is so attractive." Weak response. Silence, awkwardness, or, "Yeah, I guess." Strong response, good taste, but he's got nothing on my charm, said with a smirk, lightly, playfully. Or even simpler, "Yeah, he's a good-looking guy." Then continue the conversation normally. What you're communicating here is emotional maturity. You're secure enough to acknowledge objective reality. Yes, other attractive people exist, without it threatening your sense of self-worth. Now let me explain why this triggers attraction at a deeper level. When you respond to the jealousy trigger with calm confidence, you're demonstrating several high-value traits simultaneously. You're showing emotional intelligence. You're not reactive. You're showing self-worth. You don't need to compete because you already know your value. You're showing leadership. You can navigate uncomfortable moments without losing your composure. All of these traits are deeply attractive to women because they signal that you can handle the inevitable challenges that come with intimacy and relationships. If you can't handle her mentioning another man without getting insecure, how will you handle real adversity? How will you handle conflict, stress, or uncertainty? She's not testing you to be cruel. She's testing you to see if you're emotionally equipped for what comes next. There's also another layer to this that most men miss. When she mentions other men or creates subtle competition, she's also heightening your awareness of her value. She's reminding you, often unconsciously, that she has options, that she's desirable, that other men notice her. This isn't manipulation, it's biology. Women are biologically wired to maximize their mate value and ensure they're choosing the best possible partner. Creating the perception of demand, other men are interested, is an instinctive way to test whether you see her value and whether you're willing to step up. But here's the critical insight. She wants you to step up with confidence, not with anxiety. Stepping up with anxiety looks like jealousy, possessiveness, trying to lock her down, becoming more available, chasing harder. Stepping up with confidence looks like remaining calm, slightly increasing your own value displays through purpose, social proof, or achievement, maintaining your standards, continuing to lead the interaction. Let me give you a real-world scenario to bring this home. You're on a second date with her. Things are going well. She mentions that her ex texted her recently, out of the blue, and wanted to catch up. This is a textbook jealousy trigger. How do you respond? Weak response. What did you say? Are you going to see him? Medium response. That's interesting timing. Said with slight edge or skepticism. Strong response. Exes have a way of doing that. Then smile and add, how'd that go? In a genuinely curious, non-threatened way. You're not interrogating, you're engaging like a secure person would, or an even stronger frame. Well, I can't blame him for trying. Said with amused confidence, then naturally transitioning. Anyway, you were telling me about your trip to Portland. That last response is masterful because it subtly acknowledges that she's desirable. You can't blame him, while also showing it doesn't shake your frame whatsoever, immediately moving on to the actual conversation. The key principle here is this: don't compete loudly. Don't withdraw coldly. Stay engaged, stay warm, stay grounded. When you master this response, something powerful happens. She stops testing your jealousy because you've already proven you can't be manipulated by it. The game loses its power, and her respect for you and attraction to you deepens significantly. One final thought on this. The jealousy trigger is also an opportunity. It's a chance to display masculine energy in its most attractive form. Strength without aggression, confidence without arrogance, awareness without anxiety. When you nail this, you're not just passing a test. You're positioning yourself as a rare kind of man, the kind who doesn't need to control or dominate to feel secure. And that's the kind of man women don't want to lose. All right, we're building serious momentum here. If you're still with me, that tells me you're serious about understanding this at a deep level, not just surface attraction tactics. Here's what I want you to do right now. Smash that like button. I know. Everyone asks for likes. But here's why it actually matters. YouTube uses engagement to determine which videos provide real value. When you like this video, you're literally helping other men discover this information. Also, drop a comment below and tell me, which of these games have you experienced? Have you seen the push-pull? The jealousy trigger? Let me know. I read every comment, and your insights help me create even better content. All right, let's keep moving. 5 more games to decode. Let me paint a picture you've probably lived through. One day she's all in, texting you paragraphs, asking about your day, laughing at everything you say, making plans, showing genuine enthusiasm about spending time with you. The next day, complete shift. One-word responses. Takes forever to reply. Seems distracted or disinterested. The warmth you felt before has evaporated, and you're left wondering what the hell happened in the last 24 hours. Your mind spirals. Did I say something wrong? Did she meet someone else? Is she playing games? Should I back off or double down? Here's the truth that will set you free. Mixed signals are rarely random, and they're almost never about you having done something wrong. They're a sophisticated psychological test designed to measure one specific thing: your emotional stability in the face of uncertainty. Let me explain the deeper psychology here, because this is where most dating advice gets it completely wrong. Human beings, especially women, don't fall deeply in love with predictability and certainty. They fall in love with emotional contrast and managed tension. This is hardwired into our neurobiology. When something is completely predictable, our brain categorizes it as safe but unexciting. When something is completely chaotic, Our brain categorizes it as dangerous and pulls away. But when something alternates between comfort and uncertainty in the right rhythm, our brain becomes obsessed with it. This is called intermittent reinforcement. And it's the psychological principle behind everything from gambling addiction to why you can't stop thinking about someone who sends mixed signals. But here's the key distinction. She's not deliberately trying to addict you. She's unconsciously testing whether you can handle emotional fluctuation without losing your center. Why does this matter to her? Because relationships, real, intimate, long-term relationships, are full of ups and downs. There will be days when she's warm and days when she's stressed. There will be moments of connection and moments of distance. There will be certainty and uncertainty. If you can't handle mixed signals during the attraction phase, how will you handle the real challenges that come with commitment? So when she goes from warm to cold, from engaged to distant, from enthusiastic to lukewarm, she's observing your response. And your response reveals everything. Most men fail this test in 3 predictable ways. First, they personalize it. They immediately assume the shift in her behavior is about them, about something they did or didn't do. So they start reviewing every text, every conversation, every interaction, looking for the moment they messed up. This is exhausting and destroys your confidence. You're basically putting her in charge of your emotional state. Second, they demand clarity. They can't handle the uncertainty, so they try to force resolution. Hey, is everything okay? You seem different. Did I do something wrong? Are you still interested in this? These questions come from insecurity, and they put pressure on her to manage your emotions. That's deeply unattractive because it reverses the polarity. She ends up having to reassure you instead of you leading the interaction. Third, they mirror her energy. When she goes cold, they go cold. When she pulls back, they pull back. This feels like playing it cool, but it's actually just reactive behavior disguised as strategy. The problem? You're still letting her behavior dictate yours. You're not leading, you're following. And women are attracted to men who lead, not men who mirror. So what's the winning response to mixed signals? It's what I call grounded consistency. You maintain your energy, your warmth, and your direction regardless of her fluctuations. Let me be very specific about what this looks like in practice. When she's warm and engaged, you match that energy. You're present, playful, invested in the conversation. You enjoy the moment fully, without clinging to it or trying to force it to last forever. When she pulls back or becomes distant, you don't chase, you don't interrogate, and you don't withdraw. You simply continue at a baseline level of warmth and engagement. For example, if her texts become short and infrequent, you don't flood her inbox trying to recreate the previous energy. You also don't disappear or give her the cold shoulder. You just continue being normal. You respond when she reaches out, but you're not waiting around for her to respond. You're busy living your life. This is incredibly powerful because it demonstrates emotional independence. You're essentially saying through your behavior, I enjoy connecting with you, but my emotional state doesn't rise and fall based on your texting patterns. That stability is magnetic. Now, let me explain why this works at a neurological level, because understanding this will help you maintain the discipline to actually execute it. When you stay consistent while she fluctuates, you become the stable point in her emotional landscape. In psychology, this is called being an anchor. Humans are naturally drawn to anchors, people who provide emotional stability and predictability in an unpredictable world. But here's the paradox. You being consistent creates unpredictability for her. She expects you to react to her mixed signals, to chase when she's cold or withdraw when she's distant. When you don't, when you remain warmly consistent, it creates curiosity and intrigue. She starts wondering, why isn't he reacting like other guys? Is he not that into me? Or is he just that confident? That curiosity drives her to lean back in, often harder than before, because she needs to understand whether you're genuinely that grounded or whether you're just good at hiding your feelings. And when she leans back in and finds that yes, you really are that stable, attraction deepens significantly. Let me give you a concrete example of this, playing out in text conversation. Monday. She sends you a long, engaged message about her day, asking about yours, clearly invested. You respond, match her energy, be engaged, warm, ask follow-up questions. Wednesday. She sends a one-word reply to your message from Tuesday. Weak response, is everything okay? Or sending multiple follow-up messages trying to re-engage her. Medium response, mirroring with one-word replies or not responding at all. Strong response, respond normally, as if nothing changed. Not overly invested, but not cold either. Something like, busy day? All right, we're at the end, and if you made it this far, you're serious about transformation. Most men won't watch 50+ minutes of deep psychological content. The fact that you did tells me you're committed to growth. So here's what I need you to do. First, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're building a community of men who are committed to real self-development, not surface-level tricks. Second, smash that like button. It tells YouTube this content matters and helps us reach more men. Third, drop a comment with this exact sentence. I stay calm. I stay centered. I don't compete. I choose. Write it out. Claim it. Make it your identity. Fourth, share this with one man in your life who needs to hear it. We all know someone who's struggling with understanding women. Send them this link. You might change their entire perspective on relationships. And finally, subscribe to our newsletter in the description below. We send out weekly insights on psychology, relationships, and masculine development that you won't find anywhere else. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to growth. I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong, stay grounded, and remember, the man who masters his mind can never be replaced.